Hello, Easton, and welcome to the Rabbi's Roundtable. I'm Rabbi Peter Hyman, Rabbi at Temple B'nai Israel, and we are coming to you from the Avalon Theater, the studios of MCTV, and we have a very interesting and I think really important and informative show for you. We are first here with my dear friend, longtime friend, Susie Moore. Susie is the artistic director at the Avalon. She is no stranger to the community, nor is she a stranger to the Rabbi's Roundtable. Thank you for being here.
Rabbi, thank you for having me.
Always a pleasure.
I love to jump down here and visit
Likewise.
with you.
Me too. And between us is Estelle Ramirez. Estelle is the Chesapeake Multicultural Resource Center's Hispanic Outreach Coordinator. And it's Estelle's first time. We will be gentle, I promise.
Yes, of course.
Thank you.
Welcome to the Rabbi's Roundtable.
Thank you for having me.
Delighted and important. We are going to talk about the upcoming Multicultural Festival,
Yep.
which the Avalon sponsors and has sponsored for at least 6 years, maybe more.
Yeah, I think it's even more than that. So the Peace Organization originally started the festival.
That's right.
And that was 18 years ago.
Oh,
and
wow.
So this is the 18th annual Multicultural Festival. It's the third year that I've run it. So I think that we've had it for almost 9 or 10 years.
Yes, I think that's
I
correct.
think that, and I could look that up, but it's roughly there.
But it's become a normative part of the community calendar and a very successful event.
Yep. The Multicultural Festival is always on the first Saturday of May.
Yep.
Takes place at Ottawa Park. It's a pretty quick festival. Starts at 10 a.m. and goes till 2. The rain venue is the Easton Middle School, which last year, I don't know if you remember, we had a very wet April. We were at the park the night before. It was the Friday night. We had a show at the theater and went to the park, and it was soggy. I mean, we were walking around, and there was puddles up to our, calves and almost up to our knees. So we had to make the switch to the Easton Middle School, and everything. To me, it really spoke to what a killer community we have. Such a great bunch of people, because everybody showed up and it just organically unfolded, and tables were set out and people were next to people that they didn't even know were in their community. And it was more condensed and tighter, but it really flowed really well. So this year we are totally having sunshine.
I'll do my best.
No rain, no rain. It's one of my favorite parts of what I get to do at the Avalon Foundation and for the community, because so many different community groups come out and they want to be a part of it. We get activities for the kids. We have ethnic food, a little bit more about what I'll talk about in a few minutes. But I get to work with Estelle, and I feel like the last couple of years, we have made this festival even better with the work that you're doing over at the Resource Center. So
Thank you.
I thank you so much for what you're doing for the community members and serving the Hispanic people in the community, and for coming on today. I know that it's your first one, so welcome and thank you so much. I love working with you.
Tell us a little bit about what you do, and then how it relates to what Susie's doing in the community work.
Well, I would like to take this time to really invite the community to stop by that day and check out all the activities that we're going to have that day. We're having 2 new dances that day. One from Ecuador. It's a group of women. They're from Chester, Maryland.
Oh.
And we also have a traditional, typical jarabe tapatio from Mexico, and all the Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts are doing that dance. So please stop by and check it out. We're also going to have great food, great activities for the kids and the whole family. So, this is a community effort, and thank you, Susie, for always inviting me to all the meetings and for all the support that you gave us to and make this happen.
Why don't you tell us, Susie, a little bit about who comes, who participates, the format, the layout.
So basically, we show up at the crack of dawn in the park, and we got a bunch of tables delivered and chairs. Any exhibitor or somebody who wants to be a part of the festival is welcome. We're still accepting registrations, and you can always go to avalonfoundation.org and pull that off. But really what happens is everybody starts to show up, and we make kind of a semicircle around the pavilion at Ottawa Park, and it could be anybody from the Democratic Women's Forum to Shore United Bank. Like there's exhibitors, there's groups from the Center for Vein Restoration. It's
Cool.
community groups. Midshore Pro Bono will be there.
Yep.
There's just somebody from every walk of life and organization in the theater. There'll be somebody there from Empty Bowls, the Talbot Interfaith Shelter. So what I really love about it is there's so many, I mean, we have such a dynamic community, and there's so many organizations who are doing really good work. And it's a real opportunity. And this is what happened last year when we were in the school, is that the vendors or the exhibitors learned more about what was going on in the community by being right next to them in that middle school gym.
Sure.
It was so neat. And I had millions of people just come up and say, I had no idea that this group was doing this. So for the exhibitors themselves, it's great, and you get to learn a lot. But for the attendees, and we have, you know, some years we've had 1,000 to 1,300
That's
people
fabulous.
just kind of come through the 4 hours of the festival. So a lot of the exhibitors will have crafts for kids. You know, there'll be face painting, there'll be the henna painting.
The button machine.
Right, exactly. So it's just a really nice thing. And then interspersed in that is we have a bunch of different food vendors. For example, Samina and the Hawk Grill will be there, and they have the Pakistani food that we've all come to love. She will be at the farmers market on occasions. I love the kebabs. I think they're great. And the Amish market will be there. We have somebody doing mumbo jumbo chili. Claudia from the Primera Iglesias Church. They're going to do food, and they kind of do a mix of Salvadorian food and a little bit
Mexican.
and Mexican.
Salvadorian.
Like it's kind of a ton of food that they do in preparation. So you can always, you know, so it's a multicultural festival, and it really does represent the people who are living in the community. You know, and so we work with the churches and different groups to get the food there. And
Excellent.
It's, you know, Nice Farms Creamery will be there, and they churn the ice cream with a John Deere tractor. You know, so there's snow cones, hot dogs, you know, a little bit of everything. So it's just a really beautiful day to come join together. And then meanwhile, we have a stage on the pavilion. So we'll have, like Estelle said, the dancers will be there. Tradition is we have bagpiper Randy Welch start the morning.
Nice.
And he bagpipes for about 10 to 15 minutes. The Walladane drummers will be back this year. They were always a great headliner at the festival. And they'll be back for a short little set this year, but I know
Cool.
that they're a real community favorite out there. So we're really thrilled that they were able to get together and get some rehearsal time to do it. We have an Italian folk bluegrass band from Italy, La Terza
Where'd you
Classe.
find them?
They contacted me.
Really?
And I kind of looked at it and I thought it just had a really nice world feel. And so it should be really good. The Tri-Life Church will be there with their gospel singers. So we, you know, just like the food and the exhibitors and vendors, we try to mix it up and do a little dance, a little drumming, a little music, a little singing, to keep and bagpiping, of course, to keep everybody.
Sure.
There's something for everybody.
Have you heard Tri-Life, the praise team, sing before?
Yes. Oh, so good.
You know that there's a relationship between Tri-Life and Temple B'nai Israel.
What is it?
They use our sanctuary on Sunday mornings, and they're in the process of completing.
Building, sure.
Yeah, I have to tell you, they sing and play, and it is inspirational. We are fortunate that they come to us, and a great relationship has been established between Pastor Debbie Short and Pastor Anthony Short and Tri-Life and B'nai Israel.
They will lift your soul for sure.
Oh, they are terrific, and that's wonderful. This is really exciting.
It is.
And your work is significant. You have impacted, and not just you personally, but what the Avalon Theater has done in the community. As I've said before, many other circumstances, the theater and the foundation really make a difference in our community for so many reasons. The farmers market, all the other things, the crab drop,
Yep, sure.
all that. So thank you very much for what you're doing, and
Welcome.
you too. Let's talk a little more. Anything else we need to know?
Sure.
It's open to the community. It's free. There's no
It's free.
charge.
It's open. It's Saturday, May 6th. Runs from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. It's short and sweet. It's going to be in Ottawa Park, down by the pavilion. Another really important thing that the festival has done over the years is worked with the Department of Social Services.
Yes.
And every year they award the Foster Family of the Year award. So it's just a wonderful thing, and we always make time in the schedule for that because those people in our community who are caring for others, and it's really a moment where they get to be, recognized for their hard work and their commitment to the community at large. So I really always am so thrilled when that happens too.
Very cool.
We'll have that, and we do have there's a dance group from Salisbury, and they do Indian dances. They're doing 2 different dances this year. One will be a Bollywood medley, and they did last year. They kind of did the Bollywood and then the peacock dance, and then there's going to be a classical dance from an Indian movie. So they're young girls. They were all, I think, 13 and under.
Wow.
They came dressed in beautiful Indian saris and attire, and it was just gorgeous.
And I think people really enjoyed their performance last year.
They really did. I thought it was a really sweet spot to it.
Anything that we can do as a community to bring us together, to educate, inform, and demystify.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
That really is important for me. To diminish the sense of otherness and increase the sense of usness.
Mm-hmm.
So,
well, our prayer this year, we do a prayer at noon, led usually by the Reverend Nancy Shida.
Mm-hmm.
And the theme this year is a prayer for unity and peace and togetherness. So we're really hoping that, with one day we can all come together. We're all working on it every day, but to come together and really celebrate it together through laughter, through arts, through music, through food, through culture, through friendships is really the way to do it. So again, it's the 18th annual Multicultural Festival, Saturday, May 6th. It's always the first Saturday in May. And I did want to say that I heard this on the radio this morning, that the BAM Festival will be April 15th. And that's another event that is a great event that happens in Ottawa Park. And I heard them doing a great interview with Matt Spence on WCI about the festivities.
Oh, good.
And so if you're a festival goer, there's 2 coming up right away.
Very cool.
And so, come to both of them.
Absolutely.
Right? Come to all the things.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we also, Chesapeake Multicultural Resource Center, it's hosting a health fair tomorrow at the park as well. From 10 to 2.
Tell us a little bit about that.
So we're going to have different vendors in the community, and it's all based on health. So we're going to have Circo from the insurance, the Maryland insurance. We're going to have the health department, Department of Social Services. So a lot of agencies in the community is going to be there to provide resources, information to everyone that is looking for services.
And that's 10 to 2?
Yes.
And tomorrow is April 8th.
April 8th, okay. Saturday, April 8th.
Yes.
And it shouldn't be freezing like it is today. God, this came out of nowhere.
We won't go there. We have been seated and privileged to have at the Rabbi's Roundtable Susie Moore and Estelle Ramirez talking about the Multicultural Festival that's coming up the first Saturday in May, May 6th.
Yep.
We urge you to participate and to enjoy and to learn and to take advantage of really the wonderful opportunities that we are presented with as citizens of this dynamic community. Ladies, thank you very much for coming to the Rabbi's Roundtable. You can come back anytime.
I know, she did great. Great job.
We will be back. You're welcome. Easton, we will be back momentarily.
Thank you.
Thanks.
We are MCTV, Midshore Community Television. We want your help in making our station more robust so that we can better serve the residents of Talbot County. So, how can you help? If you are already making video content, submit that content for broadcast to the station. It's free! Are you involved in events, shows, or lectures that would be of interest to the community? We can work with you to figure out the best way to capture those events for airing on MCTV, be it training, equipment rental, or hiring our production staff to film at a reasonable rate. Do you want to produce your own show? Let us help you get started. Come be a part of this valuable community resource. Email the station at nick@avalonfoundation.org or visit us in the basement of the historic Avalon Theater at 40 East Dover Street in downtown Easton.
And we are back, and you are seated at the Rabbi's Roundtable. I'm Rabbi Peter Hyman, Rabbi of Temple B'nai Israel, and we are in the studios of MCTV in the basement of the Avalon Theater, as we are always when we are at the Rabbi's Roundtable. And now joining me is a tremendously gifted community leader, somebody that has done and continues to do really good work, Matthew Peters. Matthew is the director of the Chesapeake Multicultural Resource Center, and we are going to talk a little bit about immigration, given the tone of what has happened, the work that he has done, how he accomplished what he's done. Some of you may have seen the really informative and important story in the Star Democrat this past week on what Matthew has been able to accomplish. So welcome to the Rabbi's Roundtable.
Thanks for having me.
And let's talk a little bit. So the last time we talked, it was iffy.
Yes.
And when I say iffy, we weren't sure where the city was going to be, what the authority structure, how it was going to respond to the question. I know that there was concern in the general community, given all the rhetoric that has been coming of late. So give us an update and tell us how you accomplished what you did, and give us the whole story. It's all yours.
Start with the whole story.
Yeah.
Well, sure. Since the change in administration, there's been very difficult messaging out there. It hasn't been very clear. The executive order that came out wasn't very clear on what was to be accomplished, how it was going to be accomplished. So it was really, the silver lining was it was left in the hands of community members to kind of, understand the laws, understand where we're at as an issue when we're talking specifically about immigration, and in this case specifically about undocumented immigrants in our community, and to bring it to a community level and to think what are the best practices for community level without having to even discuss our national laws or our immigration laws. But how do we discuss our health as a community in the context of this change of administration, the change in tone, and the real fear that has come, that has affected a lot of the clients I work with and a lot of the families in our community. And
let's just, before you continue, tell us a little bit about the work you do daily, not just in terms of this, but how many clients do you see, and their attitudes, their concerns.
So we've been in operation since 2012, the Chesapeake Multicultural Resource Center, and we were created as kind of a response to the demographic shift, not only in Talbot County, but in many parts of the Eastern Shore. We've seen a large increase of immigrants coming from the Northern Triangle of Central America. In some cases, we would classify them as refugees, people fleeing harm and violence, but they don't get that classification by our government. But we have seen a large increase in that population here. So most of my clientele, and we've worked with over 2,000 clients in this region. The vast majority are from the Northern Triangle of Central America, including Guatemala, Honduras, and Salvador. We also work with a growing Haitian population in parts of the Eastern Shore. And we work very closely with the Muslim community here as well. So our client base is diverse, but the vast majority, when we're talking numbers, the big bulk of numbers we're talking about are clients from Central America.
It's fascinating. It's important. They must be really they are nervous. I know they're nervous.
Yeah,
People have said that to me.
Sure.
All of them, whether they're from Central America or from the Muslim world, everybody's uncomfortable.
Yeah. So right now, even in the immigration world and attorneys, with anybody working in it, it's the uncertainty factor. It's when we look at a typical client, we follow their journey. I mean, at no point in most of my clients has it been easy. It's been a struggle and a fight.
To get here. to stay here.
Wherever they were, it
Yeah.
was a struggle and fight.
Oh yeah.
To get here was a struggle and fight, and living here, they're struggling and they're fighting out, and they're succeeding. They're winning. They're carving out a dream. They're moving forward with their lives. They're becoming self-sustaining. Everything we would want when we talk about what America stands for. Our current immigrant population, or the recent, are trying to achieve those exact same dreams and goals. So, with all they've been through and all they've come from, whether it's poverty or misery or violence or abuse, to come and to start carving out a new path, a positive one that's free of those issues, and then to have put in front of you now this path of complete uncertainty, where you don't know if tomorrow will look like today looks.
Right.
And it's a terrible place to be. Many of my clients have been there before. When they were living in their own countries, it was uncertainty if they were going to be there the next day because of the violence, or be there the next day because they didn't have enough food to eat, or didn't have any money to get resources for their family. So what impacts me more, and why I feel like we need to start changing the talk, is because we're not talking about the individual parents. We're talking about family units.
Correct.
And we understand what a family unit is. And when one person in that family unit has this stress, it affects the whole family.
Of course it does.
So it reverberates through the children, through siblings. It doesn't matter. And that's what we're seeing with this uncertainty. Even though it might only affect one person in the family, it ends up affecting the entire family unit. And when we're looking at community safety, community health, progressing as a community, trying to put together events and put together programs and schools and police and health, we are looking at that family unit, and that's where it starts. If we have a strong family unit, it grows into a strong community. Wherever you're from, in any part of the world.
I was just going to say, it's ubiquitous.
Yeah.
That's the formula. That's a human formula. That's a constant.
Yeah.
So tell us about the process that you went through. Who did you meet with to get us where? And I'm going to let you tell
Sure.
Where we are, because you earned the privilege. So I know you worked with the city and the county quite diligently.
So again, when we approach this idea of why we would even have our town of Easton even making statements, it didn't come from political. It didn't come from an anti-Trump movement or for any immigration type of laws that we're against or for. It really just came from every day I work with hundreds of clients. I see them. I go to the programs where we have hundreds of children enrolled. I see clients in my office, dozens every day. After work, I go out into the community and visit with these families. So having that constant contact and starting to see that we could be leading down a path where our family units are going to be disintegrating in some sense, or stress is going to be disrupting them. My approach to this was we have to issue a statement to help make that family unit feel more cohesive and supportive.
And secure.
So as I went to other town hall events in the state and heard them trying to come up with issues, and we hear terms of sanctuary city, which are already tainted words, where people will think one thing, and we need to know there's no true definition of what a sanctuary city means. So the idea of sanctuary is just how do we keep people in our community safe? And when we talk about people, it's all people.
Correct.
It's if you're here as a tourist, if you're here as visiting your mom, what doesn't matter who you are. When we say sanctuary, I mean we're gonna have your back here. We're gonna keep you safe and treat you just like we would treat anybody else in our community. So many people want to kind of twist and turn that term of sanctuary city, and it becomes a very political hot issue. And in other communities I've seen, it goes right to the issue of immigration, and we're not going to solve or do an immigration reform in the town of Easton. We're not going to change immigration law, and that's not what these statements are addressing.
Right.
My feeling, and I work with immigration, I work with clients every day, I understand the law, I follow it, and that's how we get people on a pathway to get either documented or even a pathway to citizenship. So we are follow the rule of law. But at the end of the day, we're not here to practice immigration law. Our local officials
Right.
aren't here to interpret
Right.
immigration law. We have an immigration court system with immigration judges that follow immigration law
And apply it.
and apply
interpret it.
And we believe, that I think as all Americans should believe, is due process. We do not judge you before that process.
Sure.
If for any instance you need to enter that process, that's between you, maybe your attorney if
Right.
you're lucky enough to have one, and that immigration judge.
Right.
And when that immigration judge decides, that is what is followed.
That's correct.
And in no way or shape or form are we against that, or we're talking
Sure.
against. We're saying we're not here to interpret that. We're not here to enforce that. There are agencies that do that. When we think about our community, we don't want to have any policies that will single out people
Right.
or certain groups of people, whether it's if they're a certain religion or they lack documents or whatever, they're tourists, it doesn't matter, are going to feel any different than any other community member should feel
Correct.
here in Easton. So being able to talk with our chief of police and being able to talk with the mayor and our town council and starting from these are our families here. These are people, just people. You don't have to label them anything. And this is a real fear that they have, and insecurity and uncertainty. What little part can we take just to let them know that when you see us, you know our role is community safety
Right.
and community support. That yes, law enforcement exists for immigration, but we're not that.
Right.
We are here for every other reason to keep you safe. And discussing that, we realize that's always been our policy. That's how we always should have been doing it. That's how we have been doing
Well,
it.
you have been doing that,
And that's how we're going to continue
Yes.
doing it. I think that's why the importance of when people say, well, why even do it? If it's the importance of making that formal statement.
Absolutely.
So people can look at it and feel reassured that when they look at our police officers in town, they see them as a safety issue, a police officer
Yes.
issue. When the children look at them, they start to see them as, this is the person that will help my mom if they're in trouble, not report
Right.
her
Officers of
to
the
other
peace.
people. Yes.
You know, that's an important nomenclature.
So that was kind of the process it took us to get to where we're at now. And sure, there's lots of different levels where we need to address, but our level here as the community of Easton focuses on that client that's sitting in my office that day and
Yep.
expressing their fears. I need to express those fears to our officials.
Absolutely.
And we need to take measures to address that.
And I'm pleased, not surprised, but I'm so pleased that it has unfolded the way it has. Again, it merely enforces for me what I've come to believe about the city of Easton, our leadership, starting with the mayor and going through everybody else in appointed or elected position. There is an attitude about this community that I think is uplifting and powerful, and you contribute to that. Have you communicated to this? I'm sure you have with most of your clients, or are they? How are they feeling now?
Well, I mean, when I look at my client base, it's very diverse. So not every one of my clients is the same. They come from all different types of education levels, backgrounds, histories. Every story is completely unique. It's a unique journey. It's a unique existence that they have. There are many of my clients are just recently just fleeing horrific acts of violence and threats and misery and hunger from their home countries. So they're not even paying it. The last thing on their mind is
Right.
is immigration law, or that they're just happy to be alive. And sometimes when they come to my office, that's all we're getting, is just
Yep.
realizing that and maybe getting them to that next step of getting adjusted to being out of that situation.
I think, and I'm sure I'm somewhat correct on this. It's so hard for us to relate to that kind of reality. Not that it's not true, or we haven't experienced those kinds of things. And we can't imagine the trauma, the sense of unsettledness, the fear that those people left looking for, literally, and I use the word in its true sense, sanctuary, not to confuse it with the sanctuary cities, but looking for a place to become whole.
Yeah.
And that's
So it is started with family. When we look at the movement here on the Eastern Shore, of why people would even take the risk of trying to come here, it's family. It's getting resources and essential resources to keep your family unit alive, to keep them going to the next day.
Yeah.
And wherever opportunity arises, they will go,
Yeah.
and they will make the most of their opportunity. Yes, we've been very removed from that idea of survival mode,
right.
where you don't have a choice.
Right.
You either take the opportunity to survive, or you succumb to the worst. So many of my clients, again, we don't. Some of them were ready to discuss issues like, immigration, and we're ready to discuss issues like these and help. But most we understand day to day. It's a day to day existence battle.
Absolutely.
We're helping them with that, and then what we've seen over 4.5 years of work is when we're able to meet a client and understand where they're starting at, all the fear and trauma and all the background, and we're able to just get them, maybe take one thing away,
Sure.
one burden away,
Right.
and provide another service just to get them this.
Mm-hmm.
You don't know how to get a passport? Okay, we're gonna provide that service to get you
Yep.
to that passport. And then you can see it over, it takes time, but they quickly move into a next category. Once they have that burden lifted, once they have that feeling of being safe, finally, they start to grow and blossom. So it's almost like they're looking just for a place to put some roots. If we go to any biblical messages, which I'm sure you could find, they find some fertile soil, the roots get established, and now as a community we help it so that family unit will blossom and bloom, and that's what we're seeing. We're seeing many family members, once they're able to get out of that survival mode, which takes a lot of effort and
Yes.
help, they go into a learner mode and they start blossoming.
Absolutely. You're right. I could do 3 hours on biblical stuff without having to open the text, because I just know what it says and what the mandate is for us as people of faith. I know that from personal history, my great-grandparents came from Russia and the Ukraine. I had lunch today with somebody whose father and mother got out of Germany, and the rest of the family didn't. So this whole issue is not just an issue of academic importance. For lots of us, it's a real, powerful, historical, familial issue. Before we conclude, just tell us a little bit about your background. How did you get into all of this? And I think people would be interested in that.
Sure. I guess partly by accident. I graduated with a degree in forestry and forest science, so I started my career working out west and working for the Forest Service. Kind of got bored of that quickly, and I had a friend convince me to join the Peace Corps, and I was lucky enough to be sent to Guatemala as a Peace Corps mission back in 1999. My only agenda was to get through it and get back home and get a better job, maybe. So my 2 years down there in Peace Corps, about halfway through, things started to change in how I was viewing the world, how I viewed issues such as the environment and poverty, and how human beings, how we're able to just carve out a living and survive. So I didn't come back to the United States. I stayed down in Guatemala for an additional 11 years after Peace Corps.
Wow.
Kind of self-funding through my own organization. and through international volunteers programs to work on a variety of issues, mainly environmental still, since that was still my passion. And then over time, as just my skill set grew and my knowledge grew of being there and observing real issues and real problems, being able to solve simple problems, even as simple as filling out a form, which most people in my community couldn't do, or how do you change this, and it was a wonderful experience down there. Sure. Now the same issues that have driven many people over the past few years here, the violence and the massacres, that's kind of what led directly to the end of my program down there.
Oh, wow.
It's a lot of massacres around my village where I lived, which affected the tourism, of course, of my business. So I came back in 2012 and then got to see the flip side. So I knew in my village, about 25% of my village lived in the United States, providing the lifeline to keep that town alive.
Wow.
So now coming here to see that side of the story was really unique for me, because I understood the entire other side.
Now
I understood where that money's going.
Yep.
And what's happening there. And I've seen the massacres, and I've seen I've gone to the funerals there, and I know what they're trying to escape and get away from. And then I come here, and it's just a unique way to.
It's the other side of the coin.
The other side of the coin. And that's the only thing. So my whole first year, all I could talk about was Guatemala, because I had no idea about anything here in the United States.
Sure.
So I really do cherish my client base, because
it's
it's really where I get to have my conversations. I get to really express my life, and we really get to share really special moments.
And you see fulfillment.
Yes.
And why Easton? How did you end up in Easton?
Family. Everything's based on.
Of
family.
course.
So I needed a couch to sleep on.
Gotcha.
And I have a sister on Kent Island. And,
very nice.
And a sister that was here in the Easton Denton area.
Very nice. Well, listen, as you know, I think the work you're doing is sacred, and I don't use that term lightly or casually, and it's important. You have contributed to the quality of this congregation, quality of this community. It is a congregation. It's a big congregation. To the community, and you are impacting the lives of people who, without you, would not be as they're better off because you do what you do.
Thank you.
You will be back at the Rabbi's Roundtable. We've been talking to Matthew Peters. Matthew, as you know, is the director of the Chesapeake Multicultural Resource Center, doing very important work in immigration. And the work, by the way, benefits all of us. So for what you do, we are grateful, and I am thankful that you are willing to come to the Rabbi's Roundtable. We will be back. You will be back to continue the saga. Easton, we will be back. Thank you for watching, and I look forward to seeing you next time at the Rabbi's Roundtable.